In this video, we're going to be covering everything you need to know before creating a template in Revit. I'm going to be covering all of these topics, and at the end of the video, I'm going to be answering a question which I get a lot, which is, I've started a project with the wrong template and now I need to get it into a right template. Is this possible? The answer is, well, there is a workaround as with everything in Revit, and I'm going to be showing you how, as I said, at the end of the video. Let's go. First of all, what are even templates? Well, these are a starting point that should include everything you need to start working on your Revit project. The next question is, well, what should they include? Well, this is a long list, but let's get started. The first thing is some basic component families. So this would be things like windows, doors, and even some basic furniture. Then we have the system families. So these would be your walls, floors, roofs, even trusses, and so on. Then we have the annotation elements. So these can be your title blocks, annotations, tags, etc. Moving forward, we then have the view templates. So these are presets for your different view types where you can just apply a view template and all of your kind of basic regular view settings will apply to that view. Then we have another really useful one, which is view filters. These could be used to do some advanced graphical presentations or just to help with working, for example, to give you a graphical highlight when a wall is too long and needs additional reinforcement. After that, we have the view. So these should be just basic views, let's say a level 1, a level 2, floor plans, perhaps ceiling plans, and for elevations, and that should be enough to get you started. Then we have scope boxes, so these can be used in order to adjust the view crop for multiple views at a time, or to adjust the extents of your grids and levels. Then we have the project browser organization. Now this can vary vastly from company to company, but in general you just want to have it follow your regular workflow and required outputs in terms of views and sheets. Next we have line styles, materials, naming conventions, unit settings, both for regular project units but also for annotations, schedules, and so on. I would also include basic schedules and legends, as well as a welcome page, just for fun. This is just a view that you set up as a starting view, usually as a sheet, and you can have some basic project information there. I have included this in my architecture design template, and I do enjoy utilizing it. Then we come to perhaps an even more important question, which is, well, what shouldn't be included in our templates? And this would be any system or component family that isn't going to be used very often. Now, mainly I would focus on component families because those are easier to load later on, but also this system families that you're not going to be using often, it makes sense not to include them in your basic templates. These can always be added later on, loaded into your project, and it doesn't make sense to have everything inside of your template just because it would increase the file size drastically, slowing down your work in Revit. And that brings us to a very important differentiation between templates and libraries. So templates are there just to give you the basic families and basic settings for starting your project, and it's always intended that you're going to be adding in additional families from your libraries. So your libraries are basically folders either on your computer or on Drive or cloud, and these include all of the Revit families and Revit files that you have saved over the years. For example, your libraries may include a door sign family, which you have created a while back for a project. You have saved it in your library, and you're perhaps only going to be using it once or twice a year. Makes more sense to keep it in your library and not in the actual template, which would, well, as I said, increase the file size and slow down your work. The next logical question is, well, how many templates do I actually need? And this really depends on your type of work or the company that you work for. So if you're going to be working on vastly different project types, it makes sense to have a specific template for each of those. So for example, let's say that you're working on gas station designs and supermarket designs. It would make sense to have one template for the gas stations and then another template for the supermarkets, because it is expected that those are going to have different requirements, so it makes sense to have two. Finally, let's talk about actually creating a template, and for that, let's jump straight into Revit. And here we are in Revit, and the first option for creating a new template is to create it from scratch. So how do you do that? Well, you simply go here to Models, you then go to New, and here for the template file, you're simply going to select None. This is going to be kind of the option above all others. And then you also have the option here to check Project Template, meaning that this will be creating a new project template file, and then you simply click OK. So it's going to ask you, do you want this to be in metric or imperial, just because we're starting from scratch, so much so that we don't even have a unit picked out. So in this case, I'm just going to pick metric, and let's just give it Revit a few seconds to start up. And this is basically what we get. So we get nothing. If I go here to views, we simply have level 1 for structural, floor plan, and ceilings, so we simply do need to have a single level, but apart from that we have nothing, no elevations. If I go here to walls, as you can see, we just have this wall 1, curtain wall 1, and so on. Same thing goes for other ones, so here no doors, no windows, roof, just roof 1. That's pretty much it. So basically we get kind of the bare bones, and then we can start building our template from scratch. And once we're done, we can simply hit save and save it as a template. Now, if you've accidentally started off with a project, you just need to go here to save as and then pick out the template option. The next option for creating your template is from an existing project. In a lot of cases, this is going to be useful because you might already have projects where you have kind of set things up already and you just want to save that as a template. So here I have this really cool project. So what I would do is I would simply select everything just like this, and then just in filters I would turn off the levels because I do want to save those. Hit apply, okay, then I would hit delete, so basically deleting everything. And also I would go here through the views and just delete the views that I don't need, so like these and so on. So basically just remove everything you don't need, like legends or schedules if you don't want them to be included, or sheets, or you would simply rename them, adjust the levels and perhaps elevations, so on and so forth. Sections usually you don't want, so you would delete those, and then basically you would have everything that was included in this project, so all of the doors and windows that were loaded in, pretty much all families and everything. Obviously you would adjust it a little bit, but then once you're done preparing your template, you would simply go here to File, Save As, and then save it as a template. So just click here. Now here, really important, you do want to keep in mind the usage rights and licensing. So if somebody sends you a project, that doesn't necessarily mean that you can use everything from that project to create your own template. So just make sure you're not abusing or stealing somebody else's content. Make sure that you have the right to use everything that's in your own template. And the same thing applies to the next option, which is to create a template from an existing template. So for example, if I just close out of this project, what I could do is I could start a new template by going here to New, and then I can pick out one of the Revit templates, let's say the metric multidiscipline template. Go here to Project Template, check that on, click OK, and then I could open up this existing template, make some modifications, make some adjustments, and then save it as my own. So here I would simply have to click Save because we have already specified this to be a template. And now let's talk about the template file type. So I'm just using Windows here, obviously, and then if I go here to View and go to Show, we do have the option to show file name extensions. So if I check that on, you will see that the project file has an extension .rvt. for .revit or a project file extension, and then the template files have RTE. So these are the Revit template extensions. So these are completely different file types, and it's important to keep that in mind, but you can actually convert one into the other and vice versa. So for example, here I have this, so this is the project file which is opened up, and now if I go here to File, Save As, I can save this one as a template, and then we can just call this one number 1, hit save. And now if I bring this menu back up, so here we have the project file, and then we have project file 1, which is now RTE, so it has that template extension. Now for converting template files into actual project files, which is something that happens from time to time, sometimes people save a project as a template and then they have an issue with it. So how do you convert a template into a project? As I said, it's a bit more complicated, so what you need to do is you need to go to Revit, then you need to go to New, and then here for the template file you would go to Browse. So here I found that RTE file, hit Open, leave it as project, click OK, and then as soon as it opens up you would simply go here to File, you can just go to Save, and then you would save it as let's call this one the template file 1, and click Save. So now if I bring back my file browser, here you can see we have the template file 1, which is now RVT. So this is now a Revit project file and not a template file. So that's basically how you convert a project file into a template file and vice versa. And finally, I just want to show you what to do in a situation where you've started your project and you realized you're using the wrong template, and now you kind of need to fit it into another template somehow. So as I said, there is a workaround for this. So here I have this folder where we've looked at templates. So here I have this super cool template that I want to use for this project. So what I would do in this situation is I would go here to the File menu, then I would go to New, Project, and then here I would go to Browse, and I would search for that super cool template. Here it is. So now I'm just going to hit Open. Now it's loaded, and then I would just click OK, and it's going to open it up as a separate project file. So here, if I go to wall types and just see what we have there, as you can see, we have some interesting wall types that I have created. So I have these, and then I have this foundation wall and exterior wall and so on. And if I go back to this project, well, when I open up walls, I don't have those. So now what I would do is I would just go to this new project that we're working on where we would like to bring in that template. So let's then go to Manage, then go to Settings, find Transfer Project Standards, and this is going to allow you to transfer, well, all of these categories of elements from that other project, which was started with our desired template, into this project. So in this case, I need the wall types. So here we go, wall types. So I can just go here to check on wall types, and then click OK. And now, as you can see, some of these already exist in the project. That's okay. So I'm just going to say new only. So it's only going to bring in the new wall types. So now if I go here to wall, now you'll notice that we have those interior wall 14, interior wall 22, we have the foundation wall 20, exterior wall 37, and so on and so forth. So we've managed to bring in data from that template into this project. And of course, as you saw, there are many other categories, so you can even check them all, or it might make more sense to just pick the ones that you actually need for your project. And that's going to conclude this video. Please tell me in the comment section below if you would like to add something to this video, if you think something else should be taken into consideration. I'm always interested in learning more about different approaches to working in Revit. If you're interested in a quick, ready-to-go Revit template, well, we actually have those on balkanarchitect.com. I'm going to link it up in the cards above and then also down in the description of this video. So on balkanarchitect.com, we have multiple different templates which you can choose from, and we also have a course on exactly this topic, template creation in Revit, where each of these topics that are covered in this video I explore much more in depth and show you the actual step-by-step. So if you're interested in that, check it out. Thank you for watching, guys. Make sure to check out my website, balkanarchitect.com, for more Revit courses. There I have over 120 hours of content, and I'm adding more each week. Make sure to subscribe for more videos, and also I've added a video over there that might interest you as well.